So Dana White, in this video with RG3, says that he's anti-protesting, which is one of the dumbest, anti-American, un-American things I've ever seen anyone say. But let's let him speak, and I'll break down point by point how stupid this is.
You know what's going to happen if Kamala Harris wins the election? I'm going to get up the next day, I'm going to put my shit on, and I'm going to go to work.
Right.
I'm going to do what I do every day.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Unfortunately, if Trump wins, probably going to be a lot of people that put the shoes on and get out and start protesting in the streets and acting like idiots, shutting down streets so people can't get to work and can't. I hate protesting.
Right.
I hate protesting.
Does Dana White at the most basic level not grasp what protesting is about? Protesting is about making the opposing side uncomfortable, to make them feel pain so that you are heard, right? For example, Martin Luther King, when he was protesting in Birmingham and stopping the buses, you don't think that he was causing pain? You don't think he was causing traffic, people to be late for work, to annoy people? That is the point of protesting. It is to make the other side see you and hear you when they've been ignoring you. Now, you can argue that plenty of people have silly causes to protest, but that doesn't matter. Protesting inherently is going to annoy you. That's the point.
I feel like when you protest, you turn people against you, not for your cause, but against your cause. There are much better ways to get. Imagine if, let me tell you this.
Dana White thinks there's a better way to be heard than protesting, right? So if you've exhausted voting, if you've exhausted reaching out to leaders, if you've exhausted community outreach, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how could you possibly have a better way than protesting to get your message heard when you're a person or group of people that is marginalized, that isn't in power or have money or lots of resources like Dana White does? He's a multi-millionaire, probably pushing on billionaire with the company he runs. The UFC is a multi-billion-dollar company. He is sitting from a place of immense power. It's obvious he would dislike protesting, but let's see what his example is.
I own an arena next door here, right? The Apex.
Yeah.
We put on fights over there. We built this place. COVID hits. I can't even put on a fight in my own arena if I social distance and do all the stuff. All I need to do is put on fights and beam it to the rest of the world. Why can't I do it in my facility? The governor we had at the time wouldn't let me do it. You know what I could have done? I could have got all my people out and we could have protested, right? We could have protested out in the streets and marched up and down. We want to fight.
This guy's funny, man.
What good would that have done? You know what would happen? People would be driving going, these fucking UFC assholes are blocking up the whole street. I can't get, I could have glued myself to the fucking middle of the street, right? I could have done all that. I would have accomplished, not only would I not have accomplished anything, I would have turned people against my cause and people would have disliked the UFC. I did the exact opposite. You know what I did? We came in here every day and we grinded and we figured out a way to put on fights. In Abu Dhabi, we went to Florida, we went to this, we went to that.
So Dana White's example is that if the UFC employees, him, right, and some of the fighters went out and protested outside the Apex and blocked traffic, that, people would be against him for trying to push to have fights. No, that's still protesting. Now, personally, my opinion is in a lockdown of a major disease, you probably shouldn't be doing that. So this is a stupid protest. But if you wanted to do this effectively, you would go to maybe City Hall, maybe the state Congress building. I don't know. Go to where the power players are and cause pain there if you believe this. But protesting isn't the problem here. It's that maybe you went about it wrong. And it is fair to say plenty of people who have protests do them in ways that don't make people like them. Like just stopping traffic on a highway for an eco-protest, which ethically I understand, but I think misses the point. That doesn't make protesting bad. It just makes you bad at strategizing your protest. Back to what I said about MLK. He completely stopped stuff around the city of Birmingham. He did real protesting. It caused real pain. They caused people to be annoyed with him. Tons of people, racist people, hated MLK and his movement for causing them annoyance and causing the streets to be filled with people that ruined their day, right? That's the point, though. Whether your cause is just or not doesn't make protesting bad. He just doesn't like protesting because he has nothing really to protest day to day. And his example of putting his nose down to the floor and the company finding ways, going to states like Florida, going to Fight Island, right? Great, that solves the problem. That is not an indictment of protesting. That just means that you didn't want to go that route and you didn't think it would be fruitful. Fine, that's cool. You have the power and resources to do that. The UFC, again, is a billion-dollar company. Of course you have options. When other people protest, they don't always have the option to fly around the world to do what they want. And this is something that shows how out of touch Dana White is with reality. When you become a billionaire or millionaire and you're in charge of a billion-dollar company with billionaire friends, protesting looks like a less effective way for you. And you get annoyed because you're happy in your life, you're content, you have money, you have power. Protesting isn't for people like this because you have so many more avenues to get what you want.
Didn't disrupt anybody's fucking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, any of that shit. Like after Trump won the election, the people were lined up on Fifth Avenue. Now imagine if you're from Estonia, okay? And you're from Estonia. And you plan a family vacation. I want to go to New York City. We've never been, right? So you and your family from Estonia, you show up in New York City and you can't go up and down Fifth Ave because thousands of assholes are marching up and down the street because they're pissed off about the election. So what's it do? It ruins your entire trip. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. How does that make any sense at all?
I mean,
anyway.
Dana White just reiterates his point about causing pain. I'm not going to rant again. That's the point of protesting. It will bother people. It will ruin people's days. It will cause lots of problems. That's the point. But it looks like RG3 is going to step in, I hope, here. Let's see what he does.
This is what happens when you get me going.
No, this was... I mean, I can see where you're coming from. Do you think it's different for you because of the position that you're in and the power that you wield that you can go about it in that way?
23 years ago, I had no position and I had no power.
That's true.
I was just a regular guy trying to make it like everybody else.
That's true.
But that is my mindset. I don't tell my fighters what to say or what to do.
It's true.
They're all grown men and women.
It's
this
true.
is America.
It's true.
And even if you're not from America, but you fight for me here, there is free speech in America, and you can say whatever you want to say.
That is true.
It's none of my business.
Right.
I don't have to like it.
Right.
I don't have to agree with you.
Right.
But you have the right to say it. When it came time for...
So RG3 steps in with a softer version of what I'm getting at and explains to Dana, oh, you're in a position of power. You have lots of money now. You don't really need to protest, right? He's not marginalized. He's not oppressed, et cetera, et cetera. Dana says, oh, 23 years ago, I didn't have all these things. Yeah, the company wasn't big, but you were good friends with the guys that bought the company who were multimillionaires that helped fund this escapade that you led. You were not marginalized. You were hustling, sure, certainly, but you weren't some oppressed people that were looking to fix something in society, right? You had other options. You had lawyers. You had money. You had the ear of wealthy people and politicians. As he said in other interviews, Donald Trump helped him around UFC 30 hosting events. Like, he acts like he was some poor kid with no help. He had tons of help and didn't need these things. On the free speech thing, certainly, all of that, great. One thing he's missing here is that freedom of speech protects protest. And I feel like he just doesn't understand the U.S. government. He doesn't understand the Constitution. He doesn't understand the rights. But as an American, he has the right to not like protest. Again, protected under the freedom of speech, right? He's protected there. This video isn't about that. It's that he's just an idiot. Like, to not like protest, to think it's a bad thing is un-American. It's anti-American. It is inherently one of the dumbest takes you can have, but he doesn't like it. Okay, it annoys you, sure. It's inherently American.
Worker, you can't do anything unless you take this shot.
The vaccine, yeah.
I didn't do that either. I said, if you want the shot, we have it available here for you and for our employees. And if you don't want to take it, you don't have to. And you're not going to get fired or lose your job or anything else, right? I had a governor in here that wouldn't let me fight in my own arena, right? I didn't march up and down the street like an idiot. I figured out other ways to run my business without hurting or disrupting anybody else. This is the way that I do things, and this is the way that I choose to live my life.
So do you, I mean, I'm piecing this together right now, but it kind of feels like you think the UFC is the real America and what it should be like. It
100%.
Should be free speech.
I love this country, and I believe in this country. Is this country perfect? No. Nothing is perfect in life. Life is hard, and people are mean, and bad things happen to good people, and lots of shit goes on.
Right.
We all do the best we can, and we try to figure out how to be good to each other, how to, and how to live the best. No matter what side of the political fence you're on, no matter what side of the religious fence you're on, at the end of the day, we all want the same things.
I agree.
We want to have a good life. We want to have a nice house. You want to have a nice car. You want to have a family. You want to be able to take care of your kids. We all want the same shit.
No doubt about it.
So Dana White retorts to the classic right-wing trope of America's not perfect, but it's our country. I love it, blah, blah, blah. We all want the same thing. I agree to a point. America is not perfect, but it is better than a lot of places. It has given a lot of opportunity and social freedom to a lot of people where they lack it. By no means perfect, etc. But that's kind of irrelevant to this conversation, A. And he claims that we all want the same things. No, we do not. Dana White does not want the same things as lots of Americans. That's not true. A good life, certainly, but he doesn't care about the rights of the homeless, it seems. He fights for a lot of things that would actually hurt the working class people. He does a lot of things that hurt his own fighters. He does not pay them particularly well. They are paid at less than 20% of the revenue, among the lowest of all professional sports. He's supported politicians that are anti-workers' rights, anti-union. This is not true. We do not want all the same things. He does not care about marginalized and weak people. He does not care about loads of things that would help Americans, right? I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. He objectively does not care about these things. We do not want all these same things. He is just happy. He is a multi-millionaire rivaling on billionaire. He's completely out of touch with reality. And that is the point of this, is that he's saying things that even as another millionaire next to him, he actually understands this. You can tell that he's a little bit uncomfortable and he's letting Dana speak, but he's aware that, like, protesting is good and being anti-protesting is insane. I admire him for not getting angry because I would. But RG3, with all the privilege he has as someone with lots of wealth, lots of money, lots of status, right? He knows as a man from a marginalized community that protest is good and that not even ancestors, a generation or two ago, people were fighting for basic rights for people, right? That is insane. And it was largely driven by protest. It was largely driven by people making other people uncomfortable. And Dana White doesn't like it because people stop traffic. Americans have become soft. And not in the way that Dana White thinks they've become soft. They've become soft in the way that he is, in this projection of what a tough guy is. He is not a tough guy. He's a guy on TRT who has millions of dollars, who does 72-hour water fast, listens to anti-science people like Brecca, whatever his name is. The dude is an absolute farce, supports farces. He comes out saying some of the most anti-American, un-American things that are possible, to be anti-protest, which is a growing sentiment in America, that they just want to be comfortable, that they're happy with the status quo to a degree, but then they'll say MAGA. What is going on? You hate protesting, but you think America needs to get great again. Well, guess what? The era in which MAGA was, right, like this idealistic version of America, is from one of the heaviest protested areas in American history. Maybe if you're white in that era, you might want that because you were the power player of that era, doing lots of bad things like refusing to give black people rights. But that isn't American. It is so much better to be living now than it was in 1950 or 60. I have no idea what's going on with these people's minds. Protesting's good.